as opposed to becoming a well-rounded person.
What about you, Pamela?
Well, it's really interesting because for Ming Wei and Ayush, the New Heights believes in that type of teaching of what their culture is already doing. I mean, we believe in finding the gift in everyone, helping them reach their full potential, providing all the tools, all the everything they need to become the person that they're meant to be. And that focuses on the emotional person, the talents passed on through generations, and building the character of that person and tying them into their community. I mean, that's something that I've personally seen as well. And that's why, I love our genealogy and DNA program, because if somebody has a background and they know what their background is, they are tied into the community of what's been given to them, what they've inherited, and I really believe that that's all. It's the way to learn, and also because there's gaps in our educational system, because of the teachers being forced to teach for tests and so forth. There are gaps in learning. So not only is not the emotional person being nourished, but those that are a little slower or those that just don't get something because their gifts lie in some other way, it's just like they're skipped over. And so New Heights, we practice that fill in the gaps learning. Where did that happen? Where did that break? And normally the kids that come to us for help, they're at least 2 years behind by the time they come to us. So we literally have to go back 2 years in the curriculum, and that's just in general. And then we have to build them back up, and we have to find where that happened.
Right.
And so I really believe in that type of teaching as well.
Yeah, because foundation is key, right? And Ming, how do you all handle that in Singapore when a student is lagging behind, or is that an issue or not an issue?
So I think there will be two parts to my answer. The first part is in terms of lagging behind, there is a lot of support, whether is it from the school, even from the government as well. So after the schools have identified, certain areas of improvement, then we will have a lot of remedial classes, for example, at convenience of the respective students at no cost at all. So I think this is also highly tied to the fact that all the teachers in Singapore, they like to call themselves more like an educators. Mm-hmm. So they are very highly trained. They go through a very rigorous, education, a rigorous journey to be an educator. So they are very dedicated and very highly qualified to kind of pick up on that and then to render the kind of necessary support as well. The second part is I do think that there are a lot of government initiatives. For example, we do have community service to support, whether it's at peer-to-peer level or is it senior to junior level, or even I can see right now, for example, even for people who have graduated now, we still have a lot of sharing sessions, coaching sessions. It's even happening right now, even during the COVID-19 situation. I'm being called back to share about my experience. Will be next week through webinars. So we do have some coaching sessions at various levels, depending on what kind of interaction the students are comfortable with.
Right. And I know that there's a standard test and that's given there as well. So from the start of elementary school, are they taught to master that at each grade level, certain things in order to pass that?
So I think we have got a mandatory primary 6 leaving exam, primary 6 exam. So it's at the end of primary school. I think so that is currently mandatory at the moment. So it provides a very uniform and pragmatic approach. But I think now they are trying to kind of focus on developing the child on a more holistic, to kind of be a more holistic individual. So right now we have got things like co-curricular activities. So we have got our aggregate results, which are not just purely tagged on academic results, which means, for example, if a student gets 6 straight A's, 6 A's, for example, So you have 6 points. So we still have other components such as co-curricular activities, third language, mother tongue, of which you can minus off and make the necessary deductions, and then they will streamline you. They will have the streaming based on your ability, which is not just purely academic. Yeah. And also, I think they are slowly introducing something called the integrated program. So the integrated program is a 6-year program through to GCE A levels. That means GCE O levels, the students are accepted from GCE O levels, which is something that we take after our secondary school, before our pre-university. So they are exempting students now, so that it's a longer process of a 6-year process all the way till GCE A levels, so that students can have more time to grow themselves in other areas that they like.
Right. And so like emotional intelligence, which Victoria introduced as something she feels will be very beneficial for the education system here in the U.S. Do you and Ayush feel like that's something that was kind of embedded within your curriculum but not really stated?
So we actually have a dedicated time, which is called, it differs between schools, but we have got something called the civic tutor session, whereby they will provide career guidance, pastoral guidance, and anything that you would like to talk about with your specified designated civic tutor. So you can talk to him about any concerns that you have. And so it is actually a dedicated time slot in the timetable itself every week.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Pamela.
That's you or Erica. I was going to jump in with a question.
Sure.
But
go ahead, Erica. Please do.
For Mingwei and Ayush, with regards to kids with disability, how does your education system see them? I know here in the U.S., to some degree, I think they are left behind in general, not just academically, but you kind of just shuffle them off to a special ed class and just try to get them through the standard classes as fast as you can. What does the education system see? You're speaking about your country seeing people and trying to find out what their abilities are. Is that the same thing for disabled folks who you think might be able to contribute to society later on? Do you try to develop those particular skills as well? How do you handle that? Someone who might not be academically up to snuff, but still have something to offer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good question.
What do you think, Ming?
Ayush, I think Ayush is gonna chime in too.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, but I did hear that they have separate schools for them, and they have a totally separate curriculum in order to match up to their needs. It's not like we have a traditional 12-year school system, right? From 1 to 12. There might be a little longer or a little shorter based on what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they teach them, or do you know if they do hands-on activities, or do you know anything else about the program?
I did hear there's more their system of teaching is more than math. It's more relating. I don't know exactly how, but it's a lot different than what they teach us.
Yeah, and Ayush, I would like to also let our listeners know that you're our data compilation person here at New Heights Educational Group. So I just want to make sure that they understand that. So if you have any data that you'd like to share with us today, definitely please do so as well.
Yeah, I'll try to look, but I don't think I got anything right away.
All right. We just want to let them know that you're our specialist in the room, right? So, as regards to the ranking, we know that we have the U.S. is that we have these global scales where we're always ranking scores, and there's a performance exam that students take. And Singapore's we talked about is number 2 on that list, and U.S. is the U.S. is number 36 on that list. And if we want to talk about the top 10, we're looking at New Zealand at number 10. And in mathematics, and we're looking at scores from the scores on that ranking, you know, they range in variation, but as far as the U.S. ranking number 30 with, let's see, we'll look at New Zealand. In mathematics, on average, the student scored 519 points, but in the U.S., 487. What do you guys think about that? And we're talking about mathematics, and Victoria alluded to the point that now we're pushing STEM education in the U.S. Even with us, with the push in STEM education, that's still a very large gap. What do you guys think about the U.S. falling so far behind, even though we're having this major push in STEM education?
Well, New Heights is 14 years old this year on June 1st, and I remember in one of my earlier speeches or presentations to the community here where we're at, I mean, I was warning people back that how far we were going to go down the rabbit hole. And, you know, it's very difficult because some school systems excel. Some school systems are doing the right things by people, and then there's some that don't. But what are the right things? The right things are those that focus more on gifts, talents, making sure no one's left behind or skipped over, hearing people's voices, listening to parents, making them part of what the child needs. And we're not very strong in doing any of those things here in America. In fact, our educational system hasn't changed very much over the time that we've had an educational system. I believe that, you know, your entire lifetime is about learning. So whether they're 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever the age, I mean, in my mind, if you're going to have them take part in some kind of nursery or preschool or whatever you want to call it, it should be through play, through going out, going through the wood, you know, hands-on play. And
and thank you for that. And to our listeners out there, today we're discussing educational systems and the ways of teaching standards around the world. And we've given you a lot to think about. We've talked about, you know, the top educational institutions a little bit and where the ranking for the U.S. is in relation to other places in the world. We have special guests with us today from Singapore, and Ayush is here from India. He's in North Carolina right now, but he has some background from India, and we're talking about emotional intelligence and how students with disabilities are affected in the education system. But at this time, we're going to take a short break, and we hope that you will join us after the break. We'll be back in a moment.
Right now, you might be struggling through your classes or even failing them. You might be worried that you may not finish high school. There might have even been a thought that you may not be smart enough. Well, the New Heights Educational Group begs to differ. We not only think you are smart enough, but with our help, you will complete your high school diploma. The New Heights Educational Group strives to improve your academic success through its tutoring services. To learn more, please visit newheightseducation.org and contact us. New Heights Educational Group, educational resources to help reach your goals.
This podcast is brought to you by Silicon Valley High School, the world's fastest growing, video-based, self-paced, teacher-supported, fully accredited online school that's recommended by more than 96% of students. Take individual courses at just $95 each, or earn your high school diploma at any age. Check us out at svhs.co.
Welcome back and good afternoon. We want to thank you for joining us on the second roundtable for the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. And we are discussing educational systems and the ways of teaching students around the